Truck Talk Media.
C10 Talk, episode 205. Jim Higgins, Jason Albano, and they're both wearing their best leisure suit. 1977, Big Ten, C10, square body, coming at you. 10 years.
I mean, yeah, like I say, there was highs and lows through the whole build. Yeah, there was points you'd get burned out and say, oh, man, I wish this thing was done. You'd go down to the shop and you'd walk in and Jason say, I just did this. And you'd look at it and you'd go, son of a bitch. And you'd be excited about it again. You know, I mean, there was lots of highs and lows through the build, for sure.
Damn, son.
Let me tell you what Melbourne Coast is packing right here. I've got 411 posi track out back, 750 double pumper, Edelbrock intakes, scored over 30, 11-1 pop-up pistons, turbojet, 390 horsepower. We're talking some bucking muscle.
What does that do? Does that blow your mind? That just happened.
Welcome to C10 Talk, your C10 truck podcast.
And now I have a chance to be the best, maybe the best in the world.
My old man, he's a television repairman. Got the ultimate set of tools. I can fix it.
I said I got 50 cents in that jukebox, and all I can hear is your mouth flapping. You hear that?
Here's your host, Ronnie Welch.
Hey guys, one of the biggest upgrades I was able to make on Orange Slice is my lighting. Think about this. You've got your old school sealed yellow lights. You put in new United Pacific headlights, boom, quadruple the lightage. They look better, they perform better, and guess what? They're safer. So you've got LED options, you've got new headlight options. They look great. And honestly, we upgrade so many things with our trucks. Why not upgrade the lighting? When you do, think United Pacific. Here's the best part. You get to save 15% off all C10 products by using code C10TALK15. Save 15% off all C10 products by using code C10TALK15. Go to upcarparts.com. That's right, upcarparts.com. I don't think you'll forget it. Save today. Thanks, guys. Give them a follow on social media too, Facebook and Instagram. Let's get this party started right. What is up, my brothers, my sisters? C10 Nation, coming at you. C10 Talk. It's been a long time coming on this one. I am super stoked. Busy time of year for us over here at the Pod World, lining everything up with the sponsors, working with sponsors to bring you more content, killer kick-ass podcast content. And that's what we're doing. We're starting it off right. We've got Jim Higgins, Higgy Baby, and Jason Albano. So leisure suit, a 10-year build, an absolutely amazing build. Things are starting off on the right foot. I've got some killer content, killer builders, tech, stories, 2021. Hopefully you had a chance to jump in and listen to the Welcome Back episode, a real quick one that I put together, just kind of giving you guys the what's up. Now, what is up for us for right now? Like I said, busy, but getting ready for LST, Eastbound and Down to the Throwdown. LST, their 10th annual. How awesome is that? So this is our 5th annual Eastbound and Down to the Throwdown. I might have said last year was going to be the last run, but with the year that we had last year, it's a no-brainer. Get back out there, Eastbound and Down to the Throwdown. We will leave Phoenix Wednesday the 24th. We leave the morning and we roll all day Wednesday, spend the night usually around Fort Stockton, and then roll on Thursday. Thursday's a little bit less stress, is less pushing so hard to kind of enjoy that day a little. It's a little funner drive too, getting off the 10 and work our way to Austin. But along the way, we usually run by the Martin Bros, so I need to line that up this year. Deep Eddy Vodka, where they have their main plant where they make vodka, and we get to hang out, and they've got a little room there, and it's a chill day. Get into Buc-ee's, drive through, and then get into LST Thursday night. Be it Lone Star Throwdown in Conroe, Texas, Friday, Saturday, and then Sunday, and then we roll out Sunday. So Eastbound and Down Throwdown, 5th annual. We'll be doing it. If you can't make it, just watch online. We've got Johnny Oro committed with the prom queen, and we'll be out there. There'll be a handful of good dudes, and there'll be some social media content as well. And we started that 5 years ago, and it's cool to see other groups westbound and down, southbound and down, up and around, back and down, LST bound. So that's what it's all about. It's about supporting Lone Star Throwdown, supporting the scene, and supporting one another. So look in your area, see what group is thinking about getting together. It obviously makes the trip a little funner. You've got, in case something happens, you've got some people to help you. So get a group of buddies, make the trip. You won't be disappointed. If you haven't registered, registration is full. You're going to have to work on finding a registration. If you can't bring your truck, you still should go support it. And it is their 10th annual, and it's going to be off the chains because of the year that we had last year. 2,000 trucks. Good times ahead. Let's do it. Speaking of 10 years, how about a 10-year build? Leisure Suit, 1977, C10, Big 10, Square Body, Jim Higgins, Jason Albano, Wild Rides and Fabrication, coming at you, a 10-year process. I've been waiting on doing this interview for 2-3 years, waiting for this truck, seeing this truck back in the day, the rendering, Carter Hickman, and what they did, the name alone grabbed me. Then you look at the truck, the stance, the wheels, the colors, the whole thing. I'm telling you what, if it's not the baddest, it's definitely one of the baddest, raddest square bodies ever built, and probably even just a Chevy truck at all. It's that awesome. So these two are in trouble together. I tell you what, I can't wait to see what they do if they team up again and build something. Jim talks about maybe selling the truck. I hope he gets to enjoy the truck a little bit, at least for 2021. I'm sure he's going to get some offers with the way that the truck market is. I think it's going to happen. So I hope he enjoys it. We'll see. I can't wait to see it in person. It's definitely on my bucket list to see it, touch it, smell it, just the whole thing, right? Because what I see online is amazing, and to see it in person is probably that much better. So I look forward to seeing what Jason and Jim do, if Jim gets to enjoy it, and if they team up. I can't imagine that Jim's just going to sit back and retire. So if I'm a bet man, he builds something. Maybe not quite to this level. It obviously took some time, some years off of his life, but he'll be back. There's no doubt. And when I say back, he's not going anywhere. I'm just saying if and when he sells. So Jim, don't take that the wrong way. You're not going anywhere. I'm not going to let you. All right, brother? Jason, I love his thought process and his mantra. Hey, I've ran a big shop. I've been there. I've done that. Now, and you'll hear in the interview, only a few builds at a time with this guy. Slow and low, that is the tempo. Do it and do it right and do it to that level. So, Jason, my hat's off to you. I salute what you do, what you represent. Jim, again, you already know. One of the things that I need to do is I get these emails instead of reviews. So I'm going to go ahead and read a few of these emails because these emails come in and then I see them and then I kind of forget to read them off. So I want to make sure I'm reading these emails as well. I'm always quick to jump to the reviews. So let's knock out some emails real quick and kind of get you caught up. And really, I want to share it with you guys and also that the people took the time to do it. So a little mailbag.
You've got mail.
This is an email by Tyler Jagerson. Keep it up, man. Love the merch and the talk show. So glad to see one doing something like this for the C10s and the OBS trucks. You have a lifelong fan for the show here from Iowa. Keep doing what you're doing, brother. That's from Tyler. Bam. Thank you, Tyler. Thanks for leaving the email. I appreciate it. Okay, let's jump over to another one here. This is from Brian Ingram. 5 stars, Ronnie. Love everything across the board. I'm probably one of the few guys that just loves it all. Ford, Dodge, and Chevy. I don't have a project yet, but me and my 15-year-old daughter are looking hard. Thanks for everything you do, and may I suggest adding S10 Talk to the lineup. The Square 93 and olders are going to get hot soon as prices rise on everything else. Thanks again, and keep cruising. That's from Brian Ingram. Brian, I'm a big fan of the pre-93 square body little S10s. I don't know if there's enough there to run a podcast. I think you're right. I think what we should do is every now and then if I can find somebody, I'll do a little S10 episode. I got no problem doing that. A little S10 square body. I would even keep it just S10. Even 93 and newer, that's fine. But I like where your head's at on that. How about a little S10 episode, maybe once a year? We'll see. We'll see how it does. Brian, thanks for the email. Thanks for the review. And thanks for the support. Good luck with your daughter finding that right vehicle. You guys are going to enjoy it together, I hope. And I look forward to hearing back from you. Thanks again, brother. I appreciate it. So there you go, guys. You can drop me an email, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, Ronnie at Truck Talk Media, and that might be a little easier. I know sometimes with the reviews, it's a pain in the ass, but that's usually where I jump to. It's easy just to go to the reviews. I appreciate the email, and I appreciate the feedback. S10 Talk? I don't know. What do you guys think? All right, guys, let's jump into this episode. A long time coming. Thanks for tuning in. Happy New Year 205. Don't forget our sponsors. We've got United Pacific back as the title sponsor for 2021. Marquez back, CPP, Brothers, Vintage Air, Pro Performance, Dakota Digital, Painless, and PSI Conversion. That's what I've heard from so far. We're going to be adding a few more in there. We'll see how it all shakes out, but United Pacific is the title sponsor for C10 Talk 2021. Thanks, guys. Have a great week. Late. All right. I mean, not one special guest, but two special guests in the house. If I had a little drum roll machine, I'd push it, but I'm going to say the baddest, raddest square body. And I love this quote. This has to be the nicest square body ever built. Hell, it might even be the nicest truck ever built. It's on my bucket list to see it once it's done. So with that leisure suit, we've got Jim Higgins at Jimmy Riggett and famed builder, painter, fabricator, Jason Albano, Wild Rides and Fabrication. Welcome to C10 Talk.
How you doing?
How you doing?
I'm doing good. I'm pretty stoked about this. This is a long time coming.
Yeah, it's been a long road for sure. Yep. But it's been a good road, but it's been a long road.
Yeah. It's been one of those fun times where I look back on this build and I dug out my old street trucks. You know, we got a little street trucks love in there, and this was from February of 13. So for the audience, going back, this has really been a 10-year build. And the mission of Leisure Suit, again, I would dub it the baddest square body ever built. And I would also say it's obviously one of the baddest trucks ever built. That's got to feel good to finally be sitting where you guys are in the sense that this has been a 10-year journey. So let's bring you guys both in. Let's start with you, Jim. Who is Jim Higgins?
Just your average everyday guy. Get up every day, go to work, and car nut, truck nut, motorcycle nut, all that kind of stuff. So, I've had some cars and some toys over the years, but decided that I was going to do something like this, and we kind of got hooked up with Jason, and 10 years later, this is what we ended up with, right? So, just an everyday guy that likes cars, same as everybody else.
By day, though, you work on big rigs, build big rigs, right? So you've got a lot of customization, and for the audience, put that in your head. Not just, this isn't just your local truck running up and down delivering milk. These are some, just as rad killer rides that you're working on.
Yeah, we build basically high-end. Well, we build truck parts, and we have a fab shop and an install shop, and we build high-end custom Peterbilts, Kenworths, all that kind of a stuff. So it's basically truck guys doing what car guys do, right? We slam them on the ground, and we stretch them out, and we lower them, and we paint them, and we hot rod them, and we custom interiors, and we do all that same thing, just on a larger scale,
Yeah, killer stuff. A lot of fun. Now, what do you do there? Do you organize it? Or are you a project manager?
Kind of design, some sales, do all the paint work, like all the design for the paint work and that kind of stuff. I do customs paperwork for parts we're shipping. I do a little bit of everything, actually. There's 40 of us that work at the shop. So I do a little bit of everything in the office. So, yeah.
Okay. Now, have you been doing that a long time?
Probably been there about 10 years. I worked for the Toyota plant actually before that and got offered the job here. And I worked at Toyota on the line for a couple of years building cars. And that just really wasn't for me. So I was offered the job here by the owner, and it's worked out well. So
cool. Now, is there obviously a plant up there? So for the audience, Ontario, Canada,
Is there a
Yep.
Toyota factory up there?
Yeah, there's a Toyota factory about a half hour from us. That's where my wife works. So I worked on the Corolla line. My wife works, she's in the paint shop in the Lexus line in that plant. So they make the SUV there. So.
Okay, excellent. Jason, Wild Rides and Fabrication. Welcome, my brother, master, jack of many, master of none. But you, I think you're kind of a master of many.
Well, I don't know about master, but yeah, I started out in the auto body and collision trade right out of high school. Worked in that industry for over 20 years, 22 years, and then decided it was time to get off on my own. Had my own shop since 07. It's just my wife and I, and we just carry on and do what comes through the door, what we got to do.
So at the shop, it's just you two? Your wife helps with the books, the paper, everything else?
Yeah, she works in the shop too when I have things for her to do. And yeah, it's just the two of us. I like it that way. You know, we're not going to get rich that way, but it's a little less stress not having employees. The shop I was at previously was a reasonably big shop with a bunch of employees. I was managing the place at the time when I left, and I had enough of that. So I went on my own with one vehicle to build, nothing else scheduled, and away we went. And that, like I said, that was in 07.
And it seems like you do kind of prefer maybe one, tops three at a time.
Yeah. It, in a perfect world, one would be beautiful. Two is sort of ideal. It seems like I always end up with three. And sometimes a lot of times that's budget dictated by the customer. Mm-hmm. You know, a lot of our customers just regular people, and you know, they may have a monthly budget, so you know, you work that many hours and then you work on something else.
Yeah.
So you got to balance that all the time. So
yeah, that's the thing, Ronnie. You know, it was a 10-year build, but I mean, Jason's got 3 cars on the go and is a one-man band, right? So you take that 10 years and the truck got worked on 1 day a week or 2 days a week or a day and a half a week, and that over the 10 years. So truly, if you added the days all up, it's probably a 2 or 3 year build, but you stretched it out because of what he has going on and what we can afford, right? Like I say, we're average everyday people. So we like to go to Mexico. We like to buy a new car. We like to go out to dinner. So life goes on, and I didn't want to be truck broke, you know? So that's part of it.
Yeah. It's hard to balance that. You know, looking back through the forum, we're going to allude to that. I've got multiple quotes. It's easy to pick it apart in the sense that I've got quotes, I've got details, but I did like that you said that multiple times. People are like, hurry up, hurry up, hurry up. And you're like, hey, calm down. You know, the vision is clear. The vision, you know, we know what we're doing, but we you know, Rome wasn't built in a day. I think he even said at one time. And it's like, listen, but I also could tell at times you were a little frustrated, not necessarily, you know, with any particular thing, just that, man, I want to get this thing done. And you could kind of see that where the build up, and then maybe at like 6 years, it looked like it was getting close. I think it was 2017. It was like, hey, this thing's going to be done this summer, we hope. And then it was like, hey, maybe we're going to have it ready for SEMA. And then you could tell where you turn the corner, obviously paint. I think I wrote down paint was like 2018. You started, you know, we got some pictures of the paint, and it was like, boom, now it's happening. It's happening. You could see it. The amount of fabrication is just, I mean, just off the freaking
it's one
charts.
thing. It's one thing after the next, and it's very time consuming. And I know most guys get it, but a lot of people don't. They don't understand. And like Jim said, you know, we're just regular people. You know, there's budgets. There's other things that come up in life. There's things you got to do, and we kind of never really strayed from the path. You know, the vision of what Jim wanted. But it just takes time. And we weren't willing to compromise, him or I, on rushing the project and not getting the level of what it needed to be when it was done.
And that's the thing. Like I'm a super fussy guy with everything. Like I'm that guy that I drive my everyday Silverado to work. And when I get out of my truck at work, I get out and I clean the bugs off it every morning. That's the kind of guy I am. And Jason's the same way. Jason's a fussy, detail-oriented freak, and so am I. That's the way we are, right? So we really worked well together with the truck. I'd go in and look at something that he'd done and think, man, that looks killer. And then he'd say, well, I still got a few more hours to do on this yet because I can make that better. I'm like, oh, okay, do whatever you need.
I have written down, you two are dangerous together.
Yeah.
I mean,
that's what the wives say.
Absolutely dangerous together. Another quote. This is from Jim. Thanks, guys. I'm a fanatic for details. Trust me, this thing's going to be unreal when it's done. Wait till you see my inner fenders if my plan works. And this is from 2012. I've got, I'm going to do some screen sharing here. I think it's going to work. Now, when you see this, Jim, I do, you know, this is the day you started. This is the beginning. This is, let's see here, February 13th, almost Valentine's Day, 2010. You guys are rolling Leisure Suit up into, or I should say pushing up into the trailer. And, you know, you've got that just the tip shot that I was giving you a hard time about. And then you've got the truck up in there and going over to Jason. So 2010.
Well, funny story with that, Ronnie. Those pictures there, you see, this truck started out at another shop.
Okay.
And that's the pictures that you see there of it going to the first shop. And now, because I didn't know Jason at that time, I had a buddy that worked at a shop, and that's where the truck was going to go. Truck went there. Truck sat there for a few weeks, and then I get a phone call from my buddy saying, have you been into the shop to look at your truck? And I'm like, no. And he goes, well, I think you should drop by sometime, because he said they're not really working on it. It seems that it's more in their way. They keep moving it around. He said there was a guy grinding beside it yesterday, and it wasn't even covered, blah, blah, blah. So there was a few things going on. So I dropped in, wasn't really happy with what I see and what was going on. So I pulled the truck from there. And my buddy said to me that was working there, said, if you want to build this truck and you want to build this truck right, and he goes, I know the way you are, then he said, I've got a guy you need to meet. And that's how Jason and I got hooked up. So I actually pulled the truck from that other shop. It was funny. It was right around income tax time. And I just basically told the owner that I just got my income tax done. I owe $3,000 or $4,000 this year. And I think I'm just going to pull the truck and wait till I get the income tax paid off. I'll bring it back. And he's like, well, you can just leave it here. And I'm like, no, I think I'm just going to wheel it home, throw it in the garage. And then I said, we'll figure things out. And that's when I went down and met Jason. So
salute to the guy that gave you the heads up on that. You know, here's a beer for you, buddy.
Yeah. So that's how we got up. So my wife and I drove down, I think it was on a Saturday or a Sunday, to see Jason. Went into his shop, met him, looked around. Place is neat, tidy, everything's clean, everything's like, he's the only one in the shop. And at the end of the day, he puts all of his tools away. Like, you're going to use it the next morning, but Jason puts it back in the toolbox when he's done, right? So took us into the back room, the assembly room, and he had a Chevelle in there that he had just painted and cleared. And man, the shine and the finish on that car that's what sold us. So, and then it was from there. But I truly had to wait. I mean, I think it was a year or so from that time, Jason, that I had to wait to get in.
It was a year at least, maybe even a little better than that.
Yeah.
But that's what you saw was so obviously what you saw motivated you, inspired you, and you felt so good about it. You're like, without a doubt, especially when I just heard my truck was getting, you know, people were welding, fabbing, grinding right next to it. And now I found this guy. How does that go for that year-long time? Well, let me go back. What were you thinking, Jason, when this guy comes through and you're like, all right.
Well, you can tell pretty good. At least I can with people if they're just talking or if they're really serious. You know, whether, you know, and the person doesn't have to be rich or wealthy, but they need to be able to afford it. And, you know, I don't know. I think I'm pretty good at just being able to tell if they're going to really go down this road or are they just talking the game.
Yeah.
And the wait time, truthfully, like I get jobs because of that, because people understand they have to wait to get what they want. But I lose jobs because of that. Like I just lost one not too long ago. guy called me up and said, look, I got this other guy said he could start right now. And I'm like, hey, what are you going to do? I can't start right now. So, appreciate the call. No hard feelings. Carry on, and he said to me, well, this might not be my last car. So, we'll keep in touch. And, there's no hard feelings. I understand the deal with people, you don't always want to wait all that time. But on the other hand, like I said earlier, I'm not willing to compromise the build. If that's the case, then I'm probably not your guy. So it takes what it takes, and you got to wait. If you can't wait, then, like I said, no hard feelings.
Well, and if you said yes to all the people that wanted to be in your shop, you'd never get anything done anyway. So it just.
Well, I'd be running a storage facility, not a shop, right?
Yep. I see it. I see it all the time. People. It's funny
every shop's got that car sitting in the corner with an inch of dirt on it, and every vehicle that's in my shop is being worked on. Whether there's 2 or 3, or even if I have something of my own in there, it's being worked on. If it's not being worked on, it's not in there. I can't run a storage facility.
Yeah. It costs a lot of money. Okay, so it sits for a year, or you wait a year, and at that time, are you continuing to develop and kind of come up with the plan, or did you already have 85% of it plotted out when you took it to the first shop?
Yeah, I kind of did. I mean, I didn't want to stray too far from what it is, right? I mean, that's what makes us love these trucks. It's the body lines, it's the chrome trim, it's the cargo light on the back. It's all the things that GM did. I just wanted to tweak it and perfect it a little bit. I look at the front end and the square holes across the bottom of the grill. I always kind of thought there should be 2 more. So I talked to Jason about that, just stuff like that, right? So over that year, a year and a half, or whatever it was, I had to wait. I just kept kind of mulling through my mind what I wanted to do, what colors I was going to do this. And I kind of was looking for trim, searching out parts, and just doing that kind of stuff, right? I pushed it in and out of the garage because it wasn't running when I bought it. It had a small block in it, but it wasn't fired. It didn't have a fuel tank in it yet, nothing like that. So I pushed it in and out of my garage in that year and a half, 500 times into the driveway. And my wife helped me push it back just so I could look at it and tinker with it and play around. And so I did that for a while until Jason finally said, we're coming to get it. So I'm ready,
You reached out to Mr. Carter Hickman, and tell us about the name. I would say that, so I think I'm kind of known for naming things. I think I love doing it. If it comes to me, and you and the leisure suit have to be the pinnacle. Absolute pinnacle. I'm just on name section now. Overall pinnacle, name pinnacle, together pinnacle, the leisure suit. It doesn't get any better than that, brother. How did that all kind of unfold, and your relationship, or at least coming up with the rendering with Carter back in the day?
Yeah, it's funny because I talked to Carter about doing a rendering because that seemed to be the in thing. Anybody that was building a badass truck was getting a rendering done, or you flip through the hot rod magazines and you'd see all those sketches by Brockmeyer, of the chicane or whatever, right? So I kind of thought, okay, I want to get a rendering done. So I found Carter. I talked to him a few times, and same thing. He was swamped, busy, blah, blah, blah. But he loved the truck when I sent him pictures. And he said, I'm gonna squeeze you in because he said, I really want to do this truck. I said, okay. He goes, what's the project's name? And I said, I don't know. I really don't have a name. He goes, well, you should have something for it. Because he said, any big project has a name. I'm like, I don't know. I said, you know what? I said, it reminds me of the suit I wore when I graduated in grade 8. In 78, I graduated grade 8. I had a beige leisure suit with the big collars and the white shirt. And it reminds me of the colors of the suit I wore. He goes, that's perfect. Then it's going to be Project Leisure Suit is what it's going to be. So that's where the name came from. And it always kind of seemed to work out good with the LS motor because the LS initials stand for Leisure Suit. It all kind of fell into play, right? So that's kind of where the name came from, just because of the colors. That's what it was. So
it works. And when you give it a name, I tell my audience, you give it an identity. It's no different than the kids growing up with the dog. Now it's my kids. I've sold Yellowstone, and now I have Orange Slice, and so on, the different trucks that I've had personally. But now the kids literally don't even say they just say the name. So it's no different. It gives it that identity. and you guys nailed it. And I'm glad that your mom bought you that suit back in '77 so you could walk down 8th grade graduation. And obviously, again, for the audience, it's a '77 truck. You've got the trim, and the trim absolutely. How do you take something from the Pinnacle and add more to it? Well, you put yellow trim on it, yellow fever, the '77. It was a gift from the truck gods that this all worked out. And
that trim color works so nice with those two colors. Like you see some trucks and it's red or it's bright blue, and that color, you look at it and think, oh, I don't know. But on this truck, that color just works so well with the beige and the white, So yeah, it all worked out well. So
it's funny to think that GM did that in '77 and then they stopped. Like, it's like, what happened that year? 76 exactly. Centennial Centennial. Is that what we call that? Centennial. 76 and then 77 to do that and then stop it. It added to it. You know what I mean? It really did. And the yellow trim is it's hard not to like that. So you've got the truck, you've got the rendering, you've got the name. About that time, Jason's getting ready to kick some serious butt on it. I know we're not going to be able to cover a 10-year journey in an hour and a half podcast, but walk us through that beginning, that fab. Jim, did you have some of the same conceptual ideas and then you brought that to Jason, or did you say, listen, Jason, I want you to do what you do, start the fab. Here's what I'm thinking. Go.
Hey guys, I've got Bobby from PSI Conversion on the phone looking at LS LT based motor swaps. Bobby, why should we choose PSI Conversion?
Ronnie, our harnesses are made right here at home in the U.S. Our product lineup includes the early 90s Gen 2 LT motors, Gen 3, Gen 4 LS VotorTech motors, and Gen 5 LT and LT4 packages. We have transmissions ranging from automatic 4, 6, 8 speeds, and soon to be released our new 10-speed, in addition to all the manual options out there.
Wow, you guys cover everything. How do you deal with intimidation factor when a customer is doing their first LS or LT swap?
Great question, Ronnie. But the thing is, there's nothing that we haven't seen here in the LS and LT world. If you grab almost any motor out of a junkyard, you want to Frankenstein to build together or even supercharge it. Leave it to our sales team to help guide you along the way to the products that you need for your restoration. We have over 10 years of experience in the market, a tech department that is available to help troubleshoot and diagnose any issues or questions that you have along the way while installing your PSI products. Couple that with a staff that is going to be standing by our products with pride, made right here in the U.S. to a GM quality standard. Our team is happy to get you wired up and fired up.
And don't forget, guys, use code C10TALK and you'll save 5% off your order. PSIconversion.com. PSIconversion.com. You want to save 5%? Use code C10TALK at checkout. Thanks, Bobby. Marquet has been in business for over 40 years. It all started in the original owner's garage. From humble beginnings of a couple parts in a garage to a 2-building manufacturing facility making over 6,000 parts, Marquet has grown to be one of the country's premier truck parts manufacturers. They not only design the products, but also design the tooling to build the products, guaranteeing quality control. They have made their original parts from the original trucks. Aluminum strips are double polished, creating a mirror finish, and crystal clear anodized. They use the highest quality, hand-selected show quality wood that will hold up over time. Why? Because it's kiln dried to precision moisture levels specifically for Marquet. They stock oak, pine, and mini exotics, guaranteeing extremely fast delivery. All parts are manufactured in-house in Oklahoma City, USA. They offer quality parts built by Americans for old American-made trucks. So when you're looking for body moldings, bed strips, bed wood, and so much more, think Marquet. That's mar-k.com.
Jim, did you have some of the same conceptual ideas and then you brought that to Jason, or did you say, listen, Jason, I want you to do what you do, start the fab, here's what I'm thinking, go?
Well, I mean, between him and I, we both kind of talked about what we like and what we don't like. I know I wasn't and it depends on the truck, but I'm not a super big fan of the flat floor, 2 or 3 inch box sort of thing. So I told Jason I kind of like a complete lowered floor, like almost a stock floor, and he said I agree. He goes, it's got a nicer look. So he's the one to come up with the idea of rolling that floor all in one piece up over the C notch and stuff. That was Jason's idea. Turned out beautiful, and that's kind of what I had in mind. And then he kind of come up with that spear stainless thing on the floor in the box to kind of come up to the points and meet on either side of the knot. So basically, really, we worked back and forth. If he didn't have a great idea at it, then I came up with it, or vice versa, right? We kind of bounced off each other, and everything kind of fell into place. So,
did you ever have anything that you didn't quite agree on, where maybe Jason suggested this and you said, I don't know, or Jim's like, I really want this, and 10 years, there's got to be something.
Yeah, I don't know, and through the course of the 10 years, I mean, things changed, right? When I bought stuff for the truck, like I bought the motor out of Texas, bought all billet serpentine kit, bought billet hood hinges from the Ring Brothers, everything was going to be shiny, shiny, shiny under the hood. And then, of course, as that 10-year build goes on, you start looking at other stuff and you look at it and you think, I don't know whether I want all that shiny. And Jason was the same way. He's like, yeah, things are going to look cool if you paint them satin black and if you do this and that, So I don't know if we didn't really agree, unless Jason can remember something. But I mean, for the most part, we pretty much worked back and forth pretty good with each other of what we liked and what we thought we were going to be doing. So I don't know. Can you think of anything that we didn't agree on, Jason?
No, I think we agreed on pretty well everything along. I never was really a fan of all the shiny bling on the engine. I'm just not a huge fan of that, especially when you got a lot of aluminum parts, because a lot of the parts, the sheen doesn't all look the same, depending on what aluminum the parts are made out of. And I kind of like that blacked out look. It's a little more, I think it's a little tougher looking, a little more maybe sinister looking. And for me, it's a lot easier to take care of. It's
right.
I think it's a timing thing too, right? So if you look back and maybe it was 1996, you might have had all the aluminum, and then you started out that way. And I could see where things over time, a 10-year build's going to change. You talk about things being the same color in the forum, you break that down really well. There's a table of every single black part that you painted all at the same time in the same batch. And I can, obviously.
Oh, and believe me, there was more than one batch.
Oh yeah.
many batches.
I'm looking at it thinking these guys, and I was like, okay, there might be something that gets left out or you have to redo it. But for the most part, it was cool to see
I have a clipboard and a list and everything, because I try not to miss things, but you can only hang and spray so many parts. You gotta do another batch, right? You can't do it all at once.
I was wondering, I'm like, what's the count on the table? Just the count where everything's hanging in the paint booth. Every little nut, bolt, fixture is getting, a satin black, and it was a lot.
Yeah.
Well,
and that was,
I don't.
So if you buy a part from this dealer or you buy a part from that dealer, their blacks are different. The finish is different. So we wanted everything to be perfect. So that's what we did. We painted everything, even if the part came in already powder coated black, we painted it black, so.
Yeah, because like Jim said, the stuff, the sheens are different, right? So you gotta, if you want it all the same, you gotta paint it.
You had a different motor setup. You had built the cover. You had kind of morphed the scripted valve covers into that, and then that disappeared. And then you shocked us, or you kind of surprised the shit out of us with the white. Nailed it. Absolutely. I loved kind of your explanation, whereas, hey, the orange isn't period correct. The blue doesn't go with the colors. So you went white with the bumpers. That was a cool thing. What happened to that first design, that first setup that you were going to run?
Well, same thing, right? I mean, I was trying to go super clean, and I wanted everything neat and detailed and hidden and all that. And then Jason went to all that work and built that motor cover and nailed it. It was a hell of a job. But then as the build progressed, I started looking at some of the trucks Delmo was building and everybody else just using that old Chevy valve cover. And I started loving that look. So then I talked to Jason and we kind of decided that that's the way we were going to go. And then the hard part was with that color of truck. Well, like I said, what do you paint the motor, right? Like, orange isn't right. Blue just doesn't go. So it leaves you either to go white, beige, which there's enough beige on the truck, I could have went brown, I guess, to match the interior, but at one time the interior was going to be beige, so it was kind of that. So then I thought, well, if it's going to be super clean, the engine cover, and it's going to be white, is it going to look like a washing machine stuck underneath the hood? You know what I mean? So we decided the engine cover was going, and we went the other route. I sold the engine cover to one of Jason's buddies, actually Carl, the guy that wired the truck. He bought it. So
once you were worried about it being white, you did it, and you had to be pleasantly surprised. I mean,
that was
take a deep breath and like
maybe that was maybe an area of disagreement for a short period where I kind of thought the engine should have been brown. But
now we're getting into the juicy stuff. Here we go.
Well, I think no, but I'll say, I think in hindsight, I think Jim was right. I think it looks better white. And you know what, like Jim said, with what he does, where he works and everything. Yeah, I'm building cars and stuff every day, but that kind of design stuff, that I think he's better at that. And yeah, I honestly thought we should have went brown with the engine, but I think the white looks much better. It looks much more detailed under the hood. When you get the hood on the truck and everything's kind of shaded under there, if it was brown and with all the black accessories, everything would be pretty dark under there, and it may not really show as well. So I think the white was the right choice in the end.
I kind of wanted that wow factor when you lift the hood, right? And I think brown would have looked probably as good, but I think if we had went brown, I wanted to go with billet pulleys, and I wanted to put a little bit of bling on the motor with the brown just to make it pop a little better, right? So, but no, I'm glad we went the way we went. I mean, and like Jason's always said, if there's anybody that can make a white motor clean and look after it, it's me, because I'm that guy, right? So I'm pretty fussy when it comes to stuff. So
I've heard it,
and I don't have to clean it. So
exactly. It sounds like you don't have to clean it either, Jim. When you talked about some of the different things, hey, it's not leaking any oil. Obviously, with the brown, if it was, the 1978 with the gaskets and seals, something like that might have hidden it a little bit better. But with modern technology, the LS base, they're not known for leaking, so you're not having to fight with that. I've heard it said, many a times that when you open that hood, it's like, it's like her engagement ring. You want it to just pop, and that's what you guys did. You really encompassed everything where the motor is sitting there, and with the white, it gives it that extra bam, because the interior is it's a beautiful brown color, a little bit darker brown. If you would have done that, I could see where it probably would have got lost compared, to the white pop.
Exactly. Yep, exactly. Yeah.
So you talked a little bit about Delmo and the valve covers. I like where you went with that. That kind of lets me segue into one of the things you said. Let's see here. I'm just kind of looking. Pretty much what you were saying was that you were going to slow down on the pictures. You're like, I'm going to slow down on the pictures a little bit because you did a really good job of keeping everybody updated. The fans out there in the forum world were like, hey, come on, let's go. I need some pictures. What's going on? Looking at the dates, it could be a little while. And then I see you said, hey, I'm going to slow down on these pictures a little bit because I want to change some things up. And I don't know what's getting stole out there from me or my ideas, but a lot of people, and I don't even think it's really being stolen. Obviously, people it's kind of a copycat world where people will see, oh, here you go. Oh, yeah. As you were setting the bar, okay, was it frustrating as you were setting the bar so high, but you were proudly showing off things? I have seen a few trucks being built using some similar ideas to mine. So just been laying low on the picks. And in a 10-year build, I could see where that that build was very recognized, where people would even say, hey, I see this build thread at the top of my, I'm getting my email blast and it's being seen. And I want, they're jumping in, people are loving it.
Yep. And I mean, yeah, I guess stolen is not the right word to use. It's like you say, a copycat world, but I mean, everybody borrows ideas from everybody else and tweaks their things. Like, even underneath the hood of my truck, the way we did the inner fenders, I kind of took that idea from a Chevy 2 that RPM's built years ago for a lady named Jerry. I mean, they built a brown and red colored Chevy 2 that had that fender rolled that way. And I kind of got that idea from that because underneath those square body hoods, when you lift that up, that motor's so small in that big space that I tried to roll those fenders down in there to try and clean up some of that empty space, you know? So yeah, I mean, you borrow ideas from other people. That's the way it works for sure, you know?
Yeah. One of the things you guys did, when I think of fab and I think of your truck, the amount of bumper work, bumper fab, bumper inner pieces in a truck, I know no other. I know nobody has put that much work and time into. And then think about this, going back to the motor, the white bumpers. Get out of town. I mean, the white bumpers is literally, when I come up with the term, damn son, when I see the white bumpers take it to the poor man bumper, right? The white bumper. It's so beautiful. It is the leisure suit. It works so good. And the way you guys did that, a lot of fab work in the bumpers. You know, we've all watched Overhauling, and that's like Chip's go-to. You know, Chip's, the A team is doing all this other shit, and there's Chip cutting down bumpers, molding bumpers, you know. So who was the bumper guy? Both of you? Who wants to do that much work in bumper fitment work to the whole build?
Oh, that was all Jason. Jason did all that. I mean, obviously, yeah, we wanted to suck them and tuck them and do all the cool stuff and shave them and all that. And Jason just kind of did his thing, came up with the idea for the fillers in the corners and all that. So yeah, that's Jason's thing. He can talk about that.
I wanted to get them tightened up and you know, the ends of those bumpers they're wide open, like you could put your whole fist in there, and obviously that wasn't going to fly. It wasn't good enough. So we wrapped the ends around and brought them in tighter, but not so tight that it looks, you know, unnatural. Wanted it to look sort of like it, you know, it could have came that way. And when I would have, you know, guys that stop by the shop and, you know, people would look at what I'm doing, and stuff like that, for guys that don't know these trucks, you got to point it out to people, because they don't really, if they don't know these trucks, they don't even know that, you know, some of that stuff has been done.
100%. Did you guys cut the front of the chassis at all? Did you cut the frame and then to tuck it back? Because that's one of the biggest things on a square body is you can take probably a solid 2 inches, and the bumper still is, I mean, like you said, you could put your fist, especially on the fenders on the wraparound.
Well, I cut the fronts of the frame rails to move the bumper back.
Yeah.
But then on the ends, like you said, where the wraparound is, I had to cut the bumper all apart there and slide it in towards the middle of the truck and, you know, weld it all back together, and then wrap the edges instead of it just being a wide open edge. You know, wrap the edges around and built them little fillers that go in there to kind of, you know, so there was no big gap where you could see behind the bumper or anything.
Yeah, and I think you guys...
It was a lot of work. It was a lot of work.
Those filler pieces, right? And then to kind of figure out, like, one of the questions was, how are you affixing that? Is that affixed to the bumper? And then obviously it's to the body. You filled it in, and then it has the contrast of the color. So for the audience, you've got a white bumper that's pushed in because he cut the frame, and then that's going to push out more so the bumper. So you tuck the bumper, cut it, fitted it, brought it around. But naturally, like you said, it's got to have that gapping from the front fenders to look right. Well, that gapping, you didn't just leave it open. You made filler pieces. They're painted. They're very custom. And that's just on the exterior. Like you said, you alluded to it. People are going to walk by this truck, and this is the goal, I assume, of both of you in just such a high-end build, is for them to miss. They're going to miss 70% of the stuff. I mean, half of it's hidden.
Yeah.
And it's underneath.
But like you said, that's kind of the goal, is you want the guy to look at the truck and say, you know, why does that truck look so much different than mine? I'm not really sure why.
One of the quotes, like they say, it's all in the details. This truck has so many, most will be missed by the general public once it's finished. I'll be honest with you, most, not even the general public. I mean, you could take a segment of builders and they're going to miss a lot of it. Now, again, some of it's underneath, it's hidden, and we get to see that throughout the thread and the forum, and every little pocket, every little behind the wheel well, there's a compartment. The way that you guys structured the inner fenders, I'm not even talking, I'm saying the outer fenders, the inside of the outer fenders, the inside of the bed, every little thing. It's, so much detail. The coil packs, where you put the coil packs, where you put the battery, where you put all your air management stuff. It's all tucked in, and it's not just thrown up in the frame rail. It's tucked in a beautiful fabricated metal mended box that's built just for it. It's every little detail.
Yeah. No. And like you said too, with even with the bumper fillers, a lot of things that you need to think about is, like you said, how are they attached? Like, you got to be able to put these parts on, and you got to remember, you have to be able to assemble all this stuff after it's painted, and those are things you're constantly thinking about when you're building is, I need to be able to take this part, need to be able to put it together when it's painted without marking it, scratching it, and some of those things can be difficult to figure out.
To me, the key is with this truck, why this truck is such a pinnacle build for me personally, is I love, and Jim alludes to this a lot, I love what GM gave us, right? That's why we like the trucks. Somebody was giving you a hard time about the bulky rear cab bed light, and you're like, no, I like that. I don't want to drift away too far, because then it becomes such a crazy radical build that we don't even recognize anymore. It's like, well, what is that? Oh yeah, that was a square body at one point, right? That's exactly. A 77 Big 10, C10 Big 10 truck that, GM built, leisure suit. But you guys kept the identity of the truck, yet you got to if it takes 60% to keep the identity, you guys are at 40 on the spot % of morphage. And the rad support, the way that was a big discussion too. So I think the bumpers, you guys did a lot of work on the bumpers. I think just the radiator support, the way that it morphs down into that diamond ring, there was a lot of work and a lot of detail there as well.
Oh yeah, for sure. Yeah. And then the rad support was Jason. Like, I kind of had it in my mind, like I say, how I wanted the inner fenders and stuff to roll. Jason's the one that come up with that rad support, and the way we kind of did it around the actual overflow container and stuff like that. So that was Jason's idea. And like I say, I always tried to keep the truck looking like it was something that GM actually built. I didn't want to stray too far from it. I didn't want to start shaving door handles. I didn't want to take the drip rails off. The truck only had two options, air conditioning and a cargo light. So I didn't want to lose the two options it came with. Like, that's what makes this truck what I liked. It was color.
Stuff like the cargo light and the drip rails and stuff like that were never even a question. They were always going back on the truck.
Right. Exactly.
Well, when you watch the build, we see the back of the cab the whole time, and we see that cargo light spot, and you're always like, well, okay, that's there. They're obviously,
when they're going to weld that up?
When they're going to shit? They painted it. It's the hole's still there, so the cargo light is still there. It's not going anywhere. But you left that soul with leisure suit. You left it there. One of the things kind of left it there was the tailgate. You did, you put the headboard from another tailgate, you reversed it, you put it on the inside of the tailgate. Was there ever a question of keeping the tailgate, versus seaming it up and leaving it?
No, not really. Because, we did the bed super, super clean, and that's what we were shooting for. Like, we lost the stake pockets, all that kind of stuff. We lost the boxes up in the front corner where the stake pockets usually are. We turned those front bolts around that usually hold that front header on. We spun them around so that the threads weren't sticking in the box. They were going the other direction, that you see the bolt head. Just, so the box was going to be super, super clean. And that was Jason that said, well, we need to do something with the tailgate, because all those rings for structure just made it busy, right? Compared to the rest of the box. So that's kind of where
I remember us looking at that and kind of scratching our heads and like, it's not very good looking, but what are we going to do with this? You know, we talked, I think, at one time about just making a cover for it, you know, different things like that, and really weren't sure what we were going to do with it. But I think it worked out good. We used a headboard from another truck on the inner part of the tailgate. It was a ton of work, but it come out really well.
Yeah, you moved the latch. So at that point, there was never a question then of, you know, locking up, seaming up the tailgate. I mean, really, you guys must have had the thought, hey, this is always going to be a working tailgate. Now, what do we do with this tailgate? And then what you did was headboard on the inside, cleaned it up, you know, obviously hidden latch is very, you know, very discreet. You got it all cleaned up, and, you know, you keep that line. One of the things about this truck is the gaps. The gaps are off. I mean, when you look at it and you see it and you see the gaps, it gives you a tingle that you didn't even know you had. Because we're so used to seeing a square body truck is not gapped well.
They're not good from General Motors.
No, they're not.
Looks like they were put together when the hydro was out in the plant. Because I mean, the body lines and the doors and terrible.
Well, and I always go back to, I think it was episode 161 with Keith Seymour, who worked at the plant in the 80s. And he said, we were building a truck a minute. And he said, I was on the fender assembly. He said, we'd show up in the morning and Jim would tell me he was using 3 washers. And Jason was running the line at the end. And if he yelled at you and said, you dumb son of a bitch, I need an extra washer, then they knew to put another washer. And the whole time, you know, we're the guys who are like keeping every little washer, and I tape them and I lock them together. Like, okay, the left fender has 3 washers. The passenger, the right fender has 2. Don't mess this up, you know, God forbid, because the factory. But when they were building a truck a minute, and it's evident when you see a square body and you look at those gaps, you guys, I don't even know how you did it. I mean, I see how you did it. I see that you explained how you did it in the forum, in the build, but I still don't even understand it. I mean, to move everything that much, the amount of time to gap that truck, I don't know, because we don't have a gapathon, but it's the baddest, bestest gapped square body C10 ever. I don't know.
That top corner by the fender and the hood, that's always an eyesore, that where everything meets in that corner by the windshield there.
Sure.
And Jason nailed that with the body gaps and got that looking like 100%, you know.
Well, and I did go to a buddy of mine's got a couple, you know, old square bodies sitting out behind his shop they're just parts trucks. And I went to his shop on more than one occasion and cut parts off of those trucks. To move, so I could cut a piece off of Jim's truck and move it and weld a new piece in.
Because of the gapping.
Yeah. So when you're going to cut something off and move it to tighten a gap, well, you can't use the piece you cut off because there's not enough material there.
Yeah, it's the wrong gap.
It's too small for the hole, right? So I get a piece off another truck, cut it big, bring it back to the shop, trim it down to fit, and section it in.
I mean, for the audience, just think about that. Think about how much work, not only to gap something right, but now you're like, okay, I'm going to, rob Peter to pay Paul here. I'm going to take apart from a fender. I know you guys did it on the A post, right? With the wing window. When you went to the one piece, you did that. It looked like you took another piece of a door right at the.
Yeah, I think it was off of a red door, if I believe, if I'm correct. And you know what, if you want to make those one piece windows fit correctly, you kind of have to do that. There's a gap there.
That's the knock on it, right? I mean, that's the ultimate knock. And that's why a lot of those companies put that little filler piece there, because of the gap. You guys work through it. And again, to think that you added metal from other parts to get something so close that, people wouldn't think about that because of the labor. It's just so late. You are a very patient man, Jason.
You have to, and it's not just me. You have to have the customer that's committed to going down that road, because it's very labor intensive. So that ends up being cost, right?
Yeah, and that's the balance of it, right? Where so Jim's saying, I'm in it to win it, and you're telling him, hey, dude, X amount of years ago, back in, 2011, you came to me and said, do my thing. This is my thing. Did you ever get to where you're like, where he's being so picky, and I'm not looking for drama. It's just random questions in a 10-year relationship. Did you ever get to where it's like, holy shit, Jason, I can't get this thing gapped, or Jim, I can't get this thing gapped. I got to go get another door. I got to cut this piece, or that's just who you are. And you're like,
no, because I wouldn't put it out that way. And, if he would have said to me, well, don't worry about that. That's good enough. Which he never would, but say a customer did say that, well, then one of two things is going to happen. I'm going to end up doing it anyway.
Good.
Or I'm not your guy. Maybe we need to move in different directions. Because I'm the type of guy that lays awake at night thinking about this stuff, and I'm not going to lay awake at night and having something bother me because I let it slide and said, don't worry about it, let it go.
That's intense. I mean, to think like I will lay awake thinking about how I want it right. And I know that if I don't do it right, I'm going to lay awake a lot longer, and it's going to bug me for years on end. It's just a testament to you as a builder, and really teamed up with Jim as an owner who's willing to do that, because really it comes down to time, and money, right? So, hey, X amount of money, and I want to get this damn truck going. And I also feel like from the build, not that you guys ever envisioned from day one that it would ever be a 9-10 year build, that it would get away from you, but that once you start down such an amazing path, you have to stay on that path. Did you ever find that it's like, no, this is what we thought we were going to do, but we can't do that because this truck is that level. We have to continue to make it that level.
Definitely. Yeah. Like once you, let's say you're halfway or a third into the project or whatever it is, how do you start to cut back and say, okay, well, no, I don't want to do that. Or no, I don't want to do that. Like once you've started that kind of a build, you're committed to either finish it out the way it should be or sell the project, really, which I almost did once. I kind of had somebody with some money that was interested, and that never really flew. So we actually took a break in the build for a little bit. And then finally Jason said, okay, well, I can't leave it sit here, because we had to stop working on it. And then we either go back working on it or it's got to go, because I can't store it for you, so
when you even talk about it on the build, when you think about that, and it was going to potentially sold, was it going to sell because you'd lost interest, you've been burned out, or hey, the money is getting away from me, or what was it? And I love that you say, and I want to come back to it, sometimes you just got to take a break. You got to take a break and kind of revigorate. Yeah. So when you were thinking about selling it, how did that kind of shake out?
Hey guys, I have Jim Flanders, Brothers Trucks on. Jim, what's the latest?
It's the same old thing over here. We're grinding away, selling truck parts, and really focusing on our YouTube channel.
The cool thing is, myself included, I'll check that channel out. It's a great customer service, a benefit to us. When we buy something, we can get in depth and know a little bit more and know the ins and outs, especially to watch it even before you go to install the product.
Yeah, absolutely. And we built a tech center in the back of the warehouse. So we literally bring in new products, we'll build them onto a truck or put them onto a truck, and we can see instantly how much work it's going to be, how easy it is. And we put that out to our YouTube channel so people, like you said, they'll be able to look at it and go, you know what, I can do that job in a day, or I can do that job in an hour. And it basically just completes a whole package of not just selling the product to a customer, but really backing them up when it comes to showing them how to do it, and just making sure that they've got everything they need to get the truck back on the road or keep it on the road.
Like I said, I've watched it myself. I love it. Now, I heard you're rearranging some stuff over there. What's going on in the warehouse?
Yeah, we actually, this last year, we've been building a ton of inventory. And for a long time, we've always said, if you don't have it on the shelf, it's hard to sell it. People want to have it on the shelf. They want to know they can call and get it out the door that day. So, we're just trying to be more efficient. We're trying to have more inventory on hand. And, we've done a really good job at building inventory over the last 25 years. So I think that's what's putting us in the lead in this truck market for sure.
I totally agree. Brothers Trucks, you guys, for all your Chevy and GMC truck parts. And don't forget, they're putting new stuff on their YouTube channel all the time, so check it out. Thanks, Jim.
Thank you.
Hey guys, I've got Kathy White, Classic Performance Products, CPP on the line. Kathy, how's it going?
Hey Ronnie, what's up?
What's up? What's new?
We've got a ton of things for the C10 community. First things first, our 2.5-inch Extreme X10 drop spindle. So we've upgraded the current modular spindle to modern technology. This new X10 spindle is a one-piece forged, but it utilizes strong, modern, bolt-in, internally sealed bearing hub assembly. So it's low maintenance. It doesn't move the wheels out, and you can use big brakes from us or any aftermarket big brakes out there in the market.
That's awesome. What else is new?
So we have actually gone back and redesigned our aluminum fuel tanks. As you know, our fuel tanks are the thickest, strongest, and largest capacity in the industry. But now you can actually use the same tank for either a carbureted or a fuel injection application. 63 to 72, it's 20 gallons. And for 73 and newer, 22-gallon capacity.
How about that coilover kit? You guys must be killing it with that thing.
That is such a great kit. It's fully bolt-on. It's easy to install. Strongest tubular arms in the market, available with either upper and lower or just the lowers or just a coilover kit by themselves. All the mounting brackets that you need, and it also comes with dual adjustable coilover shocks. So it's really responsive. It's up to you however you want to tune the compression or the rebound. It's perfect if you're just cruising on the streets, and it's proven on the track.
Well, that's what we like. So if you need spindles, the new X10, fuel tanks, coilovers, they've got it. Classic Performance Products, CPP. And don't forget, use code C10TALK, C10TALK at checkout and save 10%. Thanks, Kathy.
Thank you, Ronnie.
Yeah, so when you were thinking about selling it, how did that kind of shake out?
Well, it was through Delmo. I mean, it was through Dell that kind of had a famous person that was kind of looking for one, and he had kind of swayed him this way, and I had kind of set a price of what I thought it would be worth at that time, and we just went on hold. I said to Jason, I don't know whether I'm selling it or I'm not. I got somebody that's interested. We just need to take a break for a little bit here, and then we just kind of waited it out, and then it never really transpired. So that's when Jason said, are we continuing or what are we doing? I said, yeah, go back at it. We got to finish it. So, and it wasn't, like I say, there was highs and lows through the whole build. Yeah, there was points you'd get burned out and say, oh man, I wish this thing was done. But you'd go down to the shop and you'd walk in and Jason say, I just did this. And you'd look at it and you'd go, son of a bitch. And you'd be excited about it again. There was lots of highs and lows through the build for sure. But
so I got a quote. It's funny, I am not a real patient guy, but with building something this caliber, you have to be. It's a long, slow process. Trust me, I've gotten frustrated with it, taken a break from it, and thought about selling it. But once you go back into the shop, open the door, and see the truck, all those thoughts disappear. And I think that's probably where you're at. I think taking a break is probably healthy, and for Jason, is taking a break a good thing?
Sure. I've got, not that, we're not going to get into this, but I've got a car in the shop right now that's on a bit of a break. Now, I said before, I'm not running a storage facility, but, if we got to take a break for a couple months for whatever the reason may be, sometimes that's not a bad thing. It gets everybody re-energized and refocused. It gives me time to maybe catch up a few hours on some other things, and you get back on track.
Yeah, what is it? Distance makes the heart grow fonder. It's something where it's like, hey, I haven't seen it for a while, and it's over there in the corner.
It's like some time off work and going on a vacation, right? Like sometimes you need a bit of a break, right?
Yeah, and I almost wonder, and we're going to jump into it at the end, really about the team of you two, the J&J Customs over here. But you guys work so well. I wonder if you'll do it again. I know Jim's saying it's one and done throughout the course, but I tell you what, it's such an amazing build.
The wife says it's one and done.
Yeah. The wife, but you guys are, it's the one thing about humans that makes us so just, I guess, resilient to time is that you go through so much misery. And it's funny how, whether it's building a truck or building a house. And if you wrote down a diary and you're like, I hate this effing truck. I hate building this. I hate doing this where I'm so pissed off right now. But then a year goes by, 2 years go by, And again, this is why we are able to evolve, and it's a positive thing. You forget about a lot of that stuff, and you start to remember the good times. And wow, I built this truck, or we built this truck, and we did this. So I think that's a good thing. It'd be interesting to see how it kind of shakes out. But well, let's see here. Oh, okay, so one of the decisions. So you did the rear, the flush. That's another very high end rear glass. That's a really such a just the upgrade where it's just flush rear glass, but it's not. It's more than that with the piece that you built, everything about that. So thank you for doing that. That seemed like that was a lot of work as well.
That was a tremendous amount of work, because the flush mount glass looks beautiful, but from the inside, because they go in with urethane like a windshield does in a new car, instead of like mounted with a rubber gasket. Well, I didn't want to see the urethane on the inside of the truck, and that truck's not designed to have that one piece glass in it. So we had to build something. So I built a trim ring piece that's actually part of the cab now, to hide that adhesive on the inside of the truck, because it would look awful if you just put a bunch of urethane in there and slap the window in. It would, you can't control where the urethane's going to go.
Well, and you would see
it would be a
from
mess.
and you would see it from the inside. And the big thing about a square body is, to me, when like a lot of these trucks will have a rear slider, right? Orange Slice had a rear slider, and so you want to put a solid piece in, and the bottom corners on the B post, the left and right corners of the windshield, the way that weather stripping is, it sucks up, and then you have the recessment of the body in that corner. And again, it's a big, bulky weather stripping, and that's how most of us have it. We don't have that flush. But then when you guys put that flush in there, I'm sure you can cut that. I didn't look at it in detail, but I'm sure you cut that glass all the way down into those corners, because that tends to be an area where there's a gap there in those corners, in that left and right lower. So it just looks so good. The way the flush mount, I mean, it looks just so detailed. So just classes the place up. I tell you what, you know what I mean?
It does. Yeah, it does. It just gave me that super clean look that I wanted, right? And it just, it nailed it for sure.
Because of that, Jason, could you, is that something, and I'm not saying you're getting into the parts business, obviously you guys alluded to.
I think about that all the time.
I'm like, why are you not doing that more so we can all do that? Because, that's where.
Because I'm one guy. That's why.
But you need to get another guy to do those parts. Wild Rides custom parts, because as you go through this build, there's so many parts that but again, there you go. Then it wouldn't be just the leisure suit truck, the one-off custom. Some of these things, though, I think with the one-piece windows and the rear flush glass and everything that you did there, those little things, people are watching, and it's a motivating build. One of the decisions that you made, Jim, and I'm glad you did it, was you were kind of playing around with whether or not to go with the rallies or the Vintex. You stayed with the Vintex. The rallies looked good. They really looked good. But I tell you what, they changed the truck. It was a weird thing.
Yeah, they did. And I mean, I like those rallies, but I like those rallies when the truck is aired out and sitting down on the ground. When the truck is aired up, I'm not a huge fan of those wheels. And with the Billet Specialties wheels that were on it, it looks good aired down. It looks good aired up. They just all around look good from any stance, any way, any angle. Where that rally, certain ways I love them, certain ways I don't. So that's why I kind of stuck with those. But same thing, right? It's just that 10-year build. You start looking at other stuff thinking, oh, that's cool. Or I like that. Because I mean, at one time I'd even talked of changing the color. So yeah.
That's crazy talk. That color is, it's stunning. Was there ever a third or a fourth wheel choice that you were thinking about?
No, not really. That was pretty much it for me. And I mean, I just had started to see, I think the first truck I seen with those wheels was one Boris had done out of Ohio there. He did a red colored one.
Oh yeah. Mm-hmm.
Rallies, and sitting in his shop, just the angle he took that picture on, it was like, damn, those things look good.
Yeah.
So
but that truck was pretty much aired out. He took that on Power Tour, and that truck was aired out in those shop pictures. So yeah, Boris, he did build that square, and those rallies look beautiful. One of the best quotes coming through: "This truck gives me some serious wood." And yeah, it's funny how that works out. So June 27th of 2018, quote, "Broke the rollers out today, so paint has begun." What did that feel like?
Awesome. Yeah. And just like, and it was funny because when we first started this build, Jason never really had an iPad or a camera or anything that he could send me pictures and stuff, right? He was, as he's mentioned, he's not real technical savvy when it comes to computers. So every couple of weekends, I would fly down to his shop. And his shop's like an hour and a half from me. And I'm an hour to work the opposite direction. So I would drive down there every couple of weekends. But later on, when he got an iPad, he started to be able to send me pictures. And when he sent me pictures of paint on the truck, like, damn it, it's freaking awesome. You know, so Darlene, my wife, and I into the vehicle and down to see it, and just to walk in and see that shine on that truck. And as soon as I walked in, because like I said, I had mentioned changing the color. As soon as I walked in and seen the paint on the truck, it's like, I am so glad I didn't change the color.
What were you thinking about changing it to?
I had went down the road of kind of a soft greenish color, like a sage green, still doing the two-tone thing, but just maybe going to a bit of a greenish color or something different. And I think probably that was because for 10 years, I sat and stared at pictures on my, like the wallpaper on my phone, the wallpaper on my computer. Everywhere I looked, I seen this beige and white square body. And after 9 or 10 years, it's getting to the point where you're thinking, you know, maybe I'm getting tired of that. I should change it. And that's truly why I started thinking other colors. And then, like I say, once I walked into the shop and seen paint on the vehicle, it was like, nah, I did the right thing. I kept it what it should have been.
Yeah, the irony of that is you probably have at least 100 guys out there that the truck is their wallpaper too.
I appreciate that.
Well, so the color of the beige, right? So the buckskin, what did you do, Jason? I feel like, and I can't even imagine seeing it seeing it up close, but even in prime, the damn thing looks great just because the gaps and everything. But that buckskin beige, it's orgasmic. You put something in there, you had to change it up. It looks caramely, it looks gooey, it looks sweet. It's a stunning color. I assume you changed it up a little bit.
It is. I won't say too much about that. Jim can talk about that if he wants.
Is it patent pending? Because what you did with the yellow in the trim, obviously white is white, and we know there's different colors of whites. Obviously, there's not an Arctic white like you see. Jim's daily that he drives now is as bright white as it can possibly be, and but that buckskin beige with just a scotch of caramel, something in it. It's glossy. It's beautiful. So you guys changed it up a little bit. What can you tell us about changing up? What can you share?
I just wanted
that to Jim.
I wanted it changed just a bit. I mean, I love the color, and when I finally ended up deciding I was going with a brown interior, I wanted it changed more to to pull more of a brown tone, where I found the buckskin kind of pulled a little bit more of a yellow tone. So I just said to Jason, I want the stock color. I just want it to be tweaked a little bit so it's more leaning towards brownish colors. So that's what he did, and nailed it. Because I mean the color, and especially when we put the brown interior in the truck, then it kind of even made that look deeper and richer, I think, you know. So
did you have to play with that, Jason, to get that new leisure suit?
Yeah, we did a bunch of spray out cards, you know, and Jim and Darlene would come down and look at them, and, you know, we would look at them against, for the longest time, I never took the original paint off of the hood. So we kept the hood with the original color on it for a reference. Because that truck had original paint on it. And so we use that for a reference. I did a lot of spray out cards, and we would, you know, look at it and, you know, come up with where we ended up. And I'll say, once we started putting paint on that truck, it was still a bit of a road because, man, everything on those trucks is big. And there's a lot of parts, you know, inner panels for everything. it took a while to get that thing all colored up.
Now, another thing to share is when you took that truck down, you left the hood, but when you took it down, you blasted it, no wrecks, no fillers, and it was all.
It was phenomenal.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it had never been hit. It had never had any rust. There wasn't a pinhole in the thing. The only thing really was the passenger side. The guy had put a couple extra self-tapping screws in the molding to hold it on because it obviously was coming off on him. But I mean, it had lots of road rash. Like, there was lots of little paint touch-ups and there was a little door ding in it. And but I mean, once we lost, because at one time I had kind of thought about trying to save the original paint. But I mean, once we filled in the fuel filler, and we filled in the stake pockets, and we did that thing to the front end where we added 2 extra holes under the grill, then you get to the point where if you're going to start having to paint some spots, then it's time to paint the truck, right? And I mean, it's not like it's a 69 ZL1 Camaro or a Hemi Cuda that's, if you touch it, you're going to devalue it, So that's what we decided we were going to do, was original paint or not, it was going to get painted. So.
Yeah, and for the audience, I'll post it up. The valance on those has 8 little cool holes. Jim and Jason added 1 on each side, so it's kind of got little 10. Most guys, I mean, probably would look at it and be like, it might, but they might not really see it. But then they would see it and they would look at it. You talked about the fuel door. Were you always going to put it in the back? Was that something where you kind of had to make some decisions there? Okay, so it's in the center of the rear in the bed right there. Yeah. That's obviously a no-brainer, cleaning the bed sides up, and you guys did that.
Yep. And that was all the thing, right? Just trying to clean everything up, shake the handle off the back, because as you know, every time you look at one of those tailgate handles, it's crooked. So basically, and that's the GM thing, right?
It is, man. The doors don't shut just right. The handle's always crooked. All those little things that make us love. The glove box door pops open. I could tell you, my dad, I was sitting there in his work truck, and his glove box door would pop open. He'd probably smack me. It's not my fault. Freaking glove box doors popping open, Dad. All your nudie magazines or whatever, freaking work truck, back in shit. That was 70. That was in 78 to 80. Would you say that the hardest decision was the interior?
Interior and the motor. I mean, obviously the motor was the first decision we had to make. And that was, like I say, we ran the whole gamut on that of what we were doing until we finally, I said, let's paint it white finally. And then, interior, I'll say it was a bitch to come up with the color of the interior. And I'd say
the interior was, you stressed over the interior the most of everything.
Yeah. Because
not just colored, but design too, what to do with it.
Yeah. Because it's make or break, right? I mean, I didn't want to do something truly. I mean, if you look at the rendering's got a plaid background in the rendering, because that's initially where I was going. It had plaid seats in it when I bought the truck, and that's the road I was going back down. But as the build went on, I searched high and low and found 300 samples, and I just couldn't find a plaid that I liked. And then everybody else was building trucks, seemed to be running down the plaid road. So I decided I wasn't going to do plaid. And for the longest time, the interior was going to be beige. And my buddy owns an upholstery shop, like literally 5 minutes from my house, and does nothing but hot rods and boats and cars and all that. He said the problem with beige is if you don't get it exact, then it's going to look like you swung and missed. So that's when we decided that we were going dark brown, which I truly glad we did, because it pulls that paint to look more of a browny tinge. And then the hard part was trying to decide what we were going to do for interior, because I didn't want it to be too street rod looking. I didn't want it to look like in 10 years when you look at it, you can say, well, that truck was built in 2000s, like you do when you look at a street rod that's got a tweed interior, or a heartbeat graphic on the outside of it. It was an 80s car. I didn't want to do anything that was going to trend the vehicle. So that's kind of where we went. We ended up brown, and I printed off a seat drawing off the internet of a bench seat, and I probably drew 150 seats until we finally come up with the design. So
I think the cool thing that classes it up is that you left it all that color. So it's all one color, and the way that you broke that up in the door, and then your buddy pinstriped it to give it that break, but then it's all that color. It is like a modern, and this is the one thing that you kind of went away from, whereas I'm saying you kept so much GM, so much of the truck lineage. I remember a guy telling me one time, I think he had a rusty old crusty truck, and I was at Good Guys, and I opened it up and I'm like, holy shit, like this interior is absolutely stunning compared to the exterior. And he says, hell, I got to sit in this goddamn thing for 6 hours at a time. Why shouldn't I have it the best, or something like that to that? And I'm like, well, that's exactly it. So you took it to that level. I think safe to do the beige or do the buckskin in there with the darker tan dash. Obviously your doors could be, a little darker, the seat. You left some scrolling, which is kind of paid a little bit of homage to the GM saddle kind of scrolling that we love, that Western, with the wood grain. You gave it the flash that it needed, but by going one color, it definitely goes to a modernized truck, because that's how you see a vehicle nowadays. You don't see 6 different colors. And the other thing about GM is they just don't match. So the wood grain on the door panels doesn't match the wood grain on the bezel, and maybe on the dash, but it doesn't all match. And we've kind of come to accept that. Whereas you said, hey, this thing's all going to be one color, and we're going to take it to that level, to that just custom done level.
Yeah, like I mean, I didn't like the thought of having the doors the buckskin color and then having that dark brown door panel insert on the door, because I mean it doesn't have carpeting on the bottom of the doors because it's a custom deluxe, right? So I just didn't want that brown spot on the door and the brown spot on the other door and the brown spot on the dashboard and then the beige bottom. I just didn't want all that mixture going on. So that's when we decided that we were going to paint it all inside, and we were going to paint it a brown to match. So basically took the leather down to Jason. He matched up some brown to spray the interior all one color. So
yeah, and I saw you had some Relicate samples. You guys worked with Relicate. You got some interior. You made some custom bezels, right? The vents on the dash. I mean, come on, GM. If there's one thing you could have done a little bit, maybe even on a Cheyenne package or a Cheyenne Super or something, but you guys there's another thing that Jason could make and sell and make a lot of money is those vent bezel pieces. I'm surprised the Ring Brothers haven't already, called you out on it, but those little billet pieces that drop in to your 2 vents on your dash pad that are gonna, are so visible from
the outside.
It's, I mean, you're looking.
And
right.
we had to put something there because it's ugly the way it is from the factory. So we had to do something there to kind of just clean that area up. And I
wanted something
up with that.
There so that when I had all my gum and my pens and all that stuff up there, it all
your pocket protector, your glass, your spectacles, all your receipts from Jason, they're all sitting up there on the dash.
Yeah.
That's what those dashes were. Going back to my dad's work truck with the glove box probably came open because all the freaking receipts in there.
Yeah.
It is funny how they GM just took it just doesn't look clean. You guys took that. It's funny how one little piece or 2 in this instance can really clean it up. Even what you did with the door handles, you cleaned them up. I like the one question that must have been brought up 64 times. You answered it just so politely. How do I get my fabricated metal to look like that? And you're like, okay, it's a GM or a 3M green, whatever. And you practically gave everybody the damn part number. And so many people wanted to know so much about this truck. But again, you matched those bezels from the dash pad into the door, and you gave it that little pop, that little pizzazz.
Yeah, like I say, when I was trying to design this, like obviously the door panels are the door panels, right? There's not a lot you can do to them. So we covered them in leather, and then seat the same way. And I never really, I kept wanting an insert, but I didn't know what the hell I wanted. Like I kept looking at material, and I wrote to the upholstery guys and had 3,000 samples sent to me, and nothing ever looked right. And then finally, Josh from Relicate put that scrolled Western look thing on there that one night, and I emailed him right away and said, "Can I get that in the same brown of the leather I bought off you?" He goes, "Damn right you can." I said, "Then get me a half a roll of it," because that was nailed it. So. It worked out well, and everything kind of flowed together. Like I kept the stock roll up door handles, like windows, everything. We just polished all the aluminum to give it a nicer sheen. Just, yeah, simple and clean and subtle, right? That's what I wanted. So
what about carpet? You did a really good job. Did you have somebody just kind of your upholstery interior guy make you that carpet?
Yeah, Tom's Upholstery is my buddy's shop. They did all the carpet in it. So I just bought some German weave off of Josh and took the roll over to my buddy's shop. And then Jason trailered the truck up here the one time before it was finished. And my buddies did the carpeting and all that kind of stuff. And then we took the truck back to Jason's, and then they did the seat and all the other parts. Then I just hauled them all down to Jason's when it was time to bolt it all in. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think we took the truck there.
Yeah, I don't know if we lost him. Maybe. Oh,
Nope,
he's back.
Nope. We're there.
Oh, there he goes.
We took the truck to the upholstery shop, just the cab on the chassis. I don't even think there was any doors on it yet or anything, so they could do the carpeting and the back wall in the cab. And they did all that, and then they covered the rest of the stuff without the truck there, and then we put it in here at my shop.
How about the system? Did you guys do any? Is there a stereo system or anything like that? I think we lost Jim. He's working on his phone. Maybe it died out.
Yeah, I just did a retro.
Yeah, we lost you there, Jim. You did a retro sound.
Yeah, there's a retro sound system.
He might be out at the truck. I don't know what he's doing. Are you going to the bathroom right now, live on?
Maybe he can't remember, so he's out checking the truck.
He can't remember.
It took too long.
What happened?
So, am I back?
Are you having a highball already? Are you having some?
The battery went dead in my.
Oh yeah, I should have told you. I told you we're gonna try to take 10-year build and just jam it into an hour-and-a-half pod. So yeah, you got to have that sucker charged up, brother.
Well, it was charged, but am I back?
You're back. You're back.
There?
Yeah, we got you. I don't know. You think we wouldn't have lost much of a connection, but we lost a little bit of a connection. So let's see how it goes here. You're back though. Now you're froze. We got you we got you jammed up jelly tight. So Jason, he's got a retro sound in there.
Yeah, retro sound system in it. Works very well. All the wiring and electronics and everything in that truck was handled by a good buddy of mine, Carl White from White's Auto Service here in Niagara Falls, Ontario. He come right to my shop, did everything here. He does a lot of great work for me with the electronics and stuff. That's really not my thing. So that was much appreciated by him for coming here and taking care of all that.
Who built those kick panels? Did you guys work together on those kicks that have the LS, obviously leisure suit, but it kind of pays a little bit like Jim was saying with the motor. He's coming in. You back? He's working through it.
He's working on it. The kick panels are, I believe, now if I can remember, they're the stock original kick panels covered in leather. And then Jim had the inserts, that mesh insert made for them, which I painted. They're stainless. And then the little LS emblem there, Jim had those made also.
Well, and you bring up the mesh, you guys, I mean, a lot of mesh, a lot of different spots where the cowl and the different spots where you had, some mesh put in, protected. The intake has some mesh, the cowl has some mesh, a lot of little mesh that you guys did throughout.
There's some small pieces under the hood, at the front edge of the hood, in the back of the truck, in the rear fender wells where the air ride compressors are and stuff. There's a mesh screen in there to let some air in and out of there.
That was the box, right? The box, you guys built the box for that, and so you've got some airflow in there.
Yeah, it's not really a box. There's a cover that faces the back of the tire, and then there's another cover on the bottom that would be, horizontal, like facing the road.
Okay.
That covers all that in, so you can't see all that stuff, but it's easily accessible if you ever needed to work on it.
Jim, how you doing? You working through it? It seems like it's froze up. If you want, we might be able to just, I'm assuming you've kind of came in under the same link.
You can't hear me?
Well, we can hear you, but it's kind of lagging. Like maybe it's just not happy. Whereas before you were spontaneously perfect. You were right there. Now it just keeps lagging. Maybe you got to let it charge up just a scotch more. I'm not sure. No, we got you. Every time we get you, then it freezes up a little bit. But
you there?
Yeah, we got you now.
Okay. All right.
So we were talking about the system. It sounds like we kind of got that covered. And let's begin to wrap it up because I do appreciate you guys' time. When you look back over this journey, 10 years together, would you guys do anything different? What would you learn? Would you do anything different? Give it a shot, Jim. See if you're okay, go ahead, Jason.
I wouldn't tell him that I think we should be able to do this in about 3 years.
Well, now when he sells it, if he does sell it, he's going to have so much damn money that's another thing to bring up is, okay, yeah, the wife says we're not going to do this again. I can only imagine that you're going to get offers that will, obviously blow your mind, or maybe they're not going to blow your mind because your mind's already been blown because you paid for this. A lot of time, a labor of love.
I've had a lot of guys, even through the course of the build, I had a lot of guys messaging me, even off my Facebook or anything. I had a lot of guys message me asking me if the truck was for sale. And I said, well, I guess it's one of those things where everything is for sale, but I would say, have you been following the build? And they're like, no, I just seen some pictures of it. Well, I'd always say you need to probably friend request me on Facebook and go through some pictures, because we're not just talking, it's not a $25,000 truck we're looking at here, So, and it's funny because when we got the truck home, we got it home here, and obviously we get winters here in Ontario. We got it home just before the weather kind of started to get crappy. So when we unloaded it out front, it basically just went into the heated garage, got covered up, and that's where it's sitting now. So I never really got any enjoyment driving out of it, nothing yet. And obviously, by the look of it, I'm not going to drive it a lot, but I've already had one guy message me and ask me if it was for sale. And I told him, I said, if it is, we're well into the six figures. And he said, I understand that. He goes, just send me some pictures and some videos and let me know if you want to sell it. So I don't know. I mean, it's one of those things.
Yeah. One of the quotes you said was, I might drive it for 1 day, but I'll be cleaning it for 6.
That's right. Exactly.
Yeah. And then when you said, it's something about mud or something, and you said it's going to be a cold ass, day in hell before I drive this thing through the mud. And it's like some of the comments are like, dude, I can't even imagine. Like,
yeah,
just driving it, just pulling it out is probably a little bit of stress. And it's, I've never had a truck that nice. I don't think I would want a truck that nice just because it's stressful, because it is so nice, and it almost should be put in a damn museum. It's such a fine build.
With everything, like I'm that way with my daily driver. I'm stressed out with my daily driver. I keep everything immaculate. Like I'm that guy. So it doesn't matter whether I'm on my way to work, driving my everyday pickup truck, or whether I'm tinkering around in the garage with the square body. Everything is stressful for me. So
well, that's why you don't have kids. Because a kid's bike will get by something, and I'm losing my mind. My son just all the time. So that's a good thing. What would you say was your favorite part besides finishing it?
Yeah, probably like that, going in and seeing the paint on it. That's probably that crested the hill for me. Like I say, when I went in there and seen paint on the truck, that just I go to the plastic surgeon to get a smile off my face, because that was the pinnacle. That's what you've been waiting for, right? All those years of looking at bare metal, and Jason's work is phenomenal. And you almost hate to cover it up with paint when you see the bare metal work, but it's when there was paint put on that truck, then it was just like, that's what I've been looking for, So that was probably my favorite part, was seeing that.
Jason, how about you?
I enjoy all the metal fab and all the mock-up of all the mechanical components and all that kind of stuff. As far as the body and paint work, to be honest with you, I'm trying to get away from doing that. I have told some customers that I have waiting that I will not be doing the body and paint on their cars. And if they choose to go elsewhere for the whole build because of that, that's understood. If they still want me to do the build, I'll do that, all the fab work, sheet metal work, all the mock-up and everything, but I'm not doing the body and paint. Now, having said that, I'm going to finish the body and paint on the cars that are in the shop right now. But it's too much for one guy. It's not that I can't do it. It's just, it's not a part of the job that I maybe enjoy as much. And you can only do so many things. And
yeah, I think you're so good at it. So I could see why people want it. But
exactly. You're going to say it's a shame he doesn't want to do that because he does it phenomenal, And I get why, but I mean it's a shame that he's not going to be painting because he can paint.
Would you say this is your most detailed build, Jason?
I would say yes. There's probably one other that's close, but I would say this one's the most detailed.
Danny's Roadster was probably up there too, right?
Yeah, I did a 37 Ford Roadster back. Oh God, we started that car before I was even had my own shop on the go. It got finished after I started. I think we finished it in 2008. Yeah, and that car was, very, very highly detailed. But I would say Jim's is even a little more so. Just totally different build though. The other one's a street rod where this is a truck. Totally different type of job, right?
Yeah, for sure. Is there anything that you would do different? I mean, it's done, right? It's done. You hit it. I mean, it's like I said, it's probably if it's not the best truck ever built, it's one of the best trucks ever built, right? It's hard to say, oh, that guy's truck is the best, and then that other guy thinks his truck is the best. Whatever. It's a top 10 truck ever built. Tony 64 Slam 64. He had a 64 C10 that he just sold for I think
I saw that. Was it 235 or something?
235 he put it up for. So let's just say over 2. It sold for over 200,000. That was built here just up the road, Fat Fender Garage. Your truck is up there. Obviously, there's without a doubt over 200. I mean, I could see it easily being 250. I look at the amount of work and everything that goes in that truck. I mean, it could be well over 250. So regardless of money and everything else, it's top truck ever built. Definitely a square body, and there's a lot of really rad square bodies out there. So would you do anything different if you could? Anything that this there, this that, or we're
I think I'm happy with what we ended up with for sure. I mean, Jason did an amazing hell of a job. It's the colors I wanted. I mean, that's what turned me on to that truck when I first found it online. I mean, I found it on the forum, and I seen it on the old Hub Garage website years ago, and contacted Keith about it that owned it and seen if he would sell it. And he first didn't want to, and then finally messaged me back and said he would. So, I mean, color wise, I went that route because I wanted something different that not everybody else had. I didn't want a red truck or a blue truck, or there's lots of those, right? So I'm kind of a guy that likes things different. I'm the guy at the car show that'll walk by the ZL1 Camaro and look at the Slam station wagon beside it. That's me. I like stuff that's different. So that's why we went this route. I mean, there's a ton of square bodies out there, but there's not, I don't think, too many done like this. So I think we nailed it. So
yeah, and I think too, the beige is the earth tones. I'm a big earth tone guy, and you were ahead of your time. Not only with the square versus maybe a 67 to 72, but the colors and then the home run with the yellow trim being a 77. With Keith, do you still talk to Keith? What does he think about the truck?
I haven't really talked to him since I finished it. But I mean, he's made lots of comments on the forum and lots of comments on Facebook and stuff like that. But, loved kind of the direction it took. And he said that when he sold it to me, he knew the truck was going to good hands. So he knew it was going to end up the way it should. So
yeah, I think it's Crawdad Fox or Crawdaddy, something like that. I mean, obviously he's pretty active in the forum, and it's cool to see and to think if I sold the truck, you're kind of like, I think it's cool that it went to where it went, right? That it became this superstar. And to think, I always kind of say some of these trucks don't know how lucky they are when they go to Jason and they go to Jim and they go to somebody, especially when they're resurrected from the field, the barn, they've been sitting forever. And I kind of, I'm kind of that way where it's like, hey, just take care of this truck. This is my baby. This truck. It's been put out to pasture, and then they get adopted by the best parent ever who's going to build them into a superstar. And that's really what you guys did. This is a few more quotes here. This is one and done for me. No more builds for me. Said when I started this one is my final. As for the bank account, the guys are always wanting to know about the bank account. I thought that was kind of funny, but so you might sell it. I hope you're going to enjoy it and get out there. Maybe you and Jason go for a little trip. Obviously, Columbus, Ohio is a big show. Is that the plan for the truck, to debut it at Columbus?
Yeah, I mean, obviously with COVID, it's going to depend on what we're allowed to do, if we're allowed to cross or what we're allowed to do. As for up here, I mean, we have a car show in Toronto that's fairly big, but I mean, nothing up here is everything like you guys have down there. I mean, so obviously Columbus is the closest for us, 5.5, 6 hour drive, 7 probably pulling a trailer. But yeah, I mean, that would be probably the closest for us to debut it. Obviously, if COVID's on and I can't get it anywhere except for maybe the fall when SEMA comes around, if that happens, obviously that would be a pretty cool place to debut it. I guess time will tell what we can do and where we can go,
Yeah, anymore, we don't even know. So you're like, hey, I really want to debut it at SEMA. I don't even want to debut it at, let's say, Columbus. But then you're like, if I skip on Columbus, if I'm able to go and cross the border anyways, who knows what the hell is going to happen in November? So you almost just have to kind of live in the moment. Right. And that's really what you got to do. Now, we've already talked. I've got some mag coverage that we're going to make happen, but which will be cool as well. That's obviously going to take some time, but some good stuff, hopefully, for 2021 and the Leisure Suit build.
I hope so. I appreciate everything you've done for me. I mean, that's
how many times, Jason, if you even knew. So one thing I did want to ask Jason, do you pay attention to the forum? Have you looked at the build thread at all over the years?
Honestly,
yeah.
No.
So
No.
I would think, just so you know, it's going to make you feel really good. 70+% of the comments are just on what you do.
Well, I should look. I'm just not that kind of a technical guy. We talked the other day. I told you I don't even own a cell phone. Like I'm not. This computer stuff is not really my thing, and I like to work with I like to be doing something. So I don't sit and look at the computer that much. I should look at the stuff, but.
Well, I could probably paraphrase. I mean, everybody has just wanted to say that your ability, your skill level, really just off the work or off the charts. Just people talking about the fab. The one guy, that piece would also look at home in a modern art museum. And that was talking about the rad support. So much about your fabrication skill, the skill level. And I even think.
Well, it's much appreciated, believe me. There's a lot of other skilled guys out there that have a lot, better skills than I have, but I much appreciate, hearing that kind of stuff. It's great.
Well, ultimately, if it's not, again, to beat a dead horse, it's the Leisure Suit's looking good. It's pressed. It's been to the dry cleaner. For the audience, it's hard to take a 10-year build, something to this level, and cram it into an hour and a half. I've been hitting up Jim. He's tired of me hitting him up. And he's got a great answer every time. Just wait until it's done. Wait until it's done. Wait until it's done. Hey, Jim, is it done? Is it done? Is it done? Is it done? And that's me bugging Jim, just really wanting to make sure I capture this. I'm excited about 2021 because this is my first show for 2021. And I really just want to bring some of the voice, some of the story, some of the passion to the people that have watched this over the years. And you've done an amazing job. I'll reference the forum, and for the audience to go look at the forum, some of the pictures, obviously my social media, I'll put them out there. And we appreciate not only just your time, but the time that you've dedicated to, you know, putting it into the forum, putting it into your Facebook, and building what will never be forgotten as, you know, one of the top truck builds, if not the top of the truck builds. I would like to say not only thank you, but this is probably dedicated a little bit to Darlene and to Heather, because she's letting Jason use her iPad. But I think about a 10-year relationship that you guys have had, and the bond that you've formed. I do hope you guys team up again and build it. One thing that we discuss over the years is, you know, and I'm 47. It's like, how many builds do you have left? My brain thinks I've got 20. But you know, my body and my billfold might not.
The billfold and the body doesn't give you 20 though. That's it. Right?
Yeah. Exactly. Well, and like you said, there's still so much of life that you want to enjoy, vacations, a truck, you know, different things in life. So it is finding that balance. But another thing, and I definitely don't want to make you guys sad, Jim, but I think this is dedicated to your mom, your sister, and your sister-in-law, because I think that over the time of a 10-year build, you know, and I look at that first picture where your mom is helping, and she's in that picture. She's right there with you. And to think, I know one of your comments was, you know, I just wish my mom could see the truck be done. And who wouldn't, you know, a proud son. And you built this truck that's so amazing. I think for the audience, you have to remember it's more than just the metal, right? It's the metal that brings us together, but it's the people. And that's why COVID sucks. Is we want to get together. We want to look at Jim's truck and Jason's work and the build and the people that are behind these. And like you said, hey, sure, everybody would love for Jason and Jim to team up again, but maybe their wives wouldn't. And at the end of the day, it's about the people that, you know, have helped us, motivated us, and keep us going throughout these builds, because it's more than just the metal. So I do want to dedicate this at minimum to your mom and the team that's behind you.
I appreciate that. Yeah, no, she would have been very happy with it. She, like I say, from the time I was 15, 16 and got my first car, she knew I was a car nut, and my dad was. So she knows what that's all about, right? So that's why he was here helping push it in the trailer, and that's the way she was. So I appreciate you mentioning that. That's awesome.
That's really all I have. I mean, I could go on for days. We could do this again. I think what we'll do is we'll probably check back with you guys as things start to warm up. We're going to see a little bit more of the truck. For the audience out there, it's really not that hard. Social media wise, you can get on Facebook and reach out. Jim Higgins at Jimmy Riggett, and then Jason Albano, Wild Rides and Fabrication. Check them out. I'll link everything up. I'll tag everybody when I do my post. And ultimately, thanks for your time. Thanks for an amazing build. And we're going to kick it off in 2021 with the Leisure Suit podcast. It's been a long time coming. Thank you guys for your time.
All right. I appreciate it. Thanks, Ronnie, for everything you've done, man. Awesome.
Appreciate it. Thanks for having us.
Thank you, guys. Have a great day.
Go on. Get your ass out of here.